And boom, this is the seventh one of these bad boys that we've recorded since starting to pop these up every week again. So excited, thrilled to have you guys here. So I would love to, I guess, have Kevin, if you don't mind, just kind of like run through that introduction one more time, just so that people can get to know you.
Yeah, my name's Kevin. I was working at a startup here in Chicago. Um, Really cool experience. Learned a ton, lead generation all the way up to close. Uh, but things didn't work out there, and now I'm looking for my next opportunity. In sales, still, I definitely found that I have a passion for it, and think I could help a lot of the people in a sales career. And that's what really gets me excited about it. Um, So yeah, I'm looking in Chicago or remote, but yeah, I'm excited for next steps and ready to tackle this journey.
That's awesome, dude. And you and I had a one-on-one conversation a while back, and I'm assuming this is the same company that you're referring to.
Yes, yes. Um,
Yeah. So if you
yeah,
if you don't mind, elaborate just a little bit on, because I think that your story would actually be super useful for people to understand the concept of trying to sell something that either A, isn't valuable, or B, you don't believe in. If you don't mind, like maybe take us through a little bit of your thought process as to why you left and what ultimately pushed you in that direction.
yeah. So what happened was I was selling there and I was successful. And really, my main motivation was being at a startup and trying to prove myself. Um, but that can only take you so far, especially when the company itself you don't feel like is motivated and focused on helping their customers. Um, so what Parachute is, I don't want this to be. Maybe I shouldn't say names too much, but
No,
I
you
don't.
can keep it totally as vague as you want, and I can edit out whatever you want.
Yeah, totally. Don't want to put a bad rep on the company, but we have kind of two marketplaces. We have our customers, and then we have the supply side. On the supply side of things, that's kind of the secondary market, I would say. But being on sales, that's like the customers I was working for,
Hmm.
um, the people I'm talking to every day, and it can be tough when that is kind of put on the back burner, and it's not really, hey, we're trying to help these people. It's more like getting that inventory that will help our users that use our app. So that kind of was dreading on me for a while and definitely started to hinder my performance at the end. But I actually didn't leave. There was actually downsizing. So me and four other people were let go.
Mm.
Um, but for me, it did not feel like I was sad or upset. I was more relieved and happy. And honestly, I saw it coming. That's why I had that conversation with you, Nick. Um, but it just goes to show that in sales, you have to, and in just in business, you have to take your customers very seriously and put them first and foremost. If you're not, this might be the outcome.
Yeah, having it's insanely difficult to sell a product that doesn't have market fit, and it just always will be. Um, because not only do your customers find it useless and they actually don't want to bid for it or buy it, but like it's impossible for you to sell it if you have any shred of a conscience, you know?
Right.
And you want to always find opportunities that align with your values and always be doing work that you think is actually helping people in sales. Even if it's indirectly, you have to figure out some way to frame it psychologically in your head that you're actually helping people, or else it's just going to take a toll, you know? So going into a new role is something exciting that I think that we could probably help you with. Um, what kind of stuff are you looking for? I mean, you mentioned geographically, but as far as like company size, or there's so many other variables that you can think about in terms of trying to find your next sales role. Like, do you want to stay at a startup? Do you want to move to a larger, all that kind of stuff? Where are your thoughts there?
Right. Yeah. I would say, I guess just after being at a startup, I'm not that I'm like ruling them out in my future, but I would like to go more to a team oriented place where I'm not the only salesperson at the company, so I can learn from others, which I think is pretty vital in a sales career.
Especially early on. You're right.
Right. So not that I didn't learn, I learned a ton just diving into the sales experience itself. But yeah, I definitely want to learn from more experienced people, and people on the same level as me, just being in a team environment. So mid to larger company is what I'm looking for. But if I happen to get an interview with another startup and I seem to vibe with the people there and I like their product, then that's really the main concern. But yeah, in terms of what I'm looking for is I'm going to shoot for account executive roles. I'm going to try to shoot for the stars and go for that. But I'm more than happy to dive into SDR, BDR roles with the right team and the right product. Um, but yeah, biggest concern for me is just finding the right team, the right people around me.
Right on. So a couple quick points that I found useful in my last job hunt. I knew that I was moving to the Richmond, Virginia area, and I was pretty dead set on getting a remote role, but I did want to have multiple interviews in the pipeline. So what I did is I just searched, top 100 places, best places to work in Richmond. And then I filtered out for companies that I actually thought that I could give a shit about, because there were plenty that I couldn't. And then I just made a practice of applying to those. And that kind of filters out crappy companies, that filters out most of the garbage that you would otherwise kind of be forced to encounter. So that's one piece of perspective. What do you guys think as far as like trying to find a job that doesn't suck in sales?
Glassdoor reviews.
Huge. Yeah. If it's below 3.5 stars, just don't apply.
I would say one thing that I've noticed is, there's always the temptation when there's a good role and you could fill it to, apply for it, but really look over their website and see how they treat environment and how they care about their employees, right? If their employees really like it, that's a good sign, obviously, but make sure it seems like a place that your gut says, yeah, I can see myself being part of that team, because there's so many opportunities, especially as Praxians. You don't want to settle for a crappy place that's not going to value you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely valid. So you're thinking about going for AE roles. How much experience do you have in sales again?
So yeah, I only have 7 months under my belt, so it's not like I'm expecting an account executive role.
But shoot for the stars kind of mentality.
Yeah, but yeah. So, and I feel like most teams, if they're hiring for account executive roles, they're probably hiring SDRs and BDRs anyway. So that's what I'm looking for and searching for, but I'm still going to apply to SDR and BDR roles. But, I do know how to close. So I have that closer mentality. I've proven I can close. It is a lower level product that I was selling, but it was something I didn't even believe in, and I still had high numbers. So I don't see why I shouldn't go for that.
Right on. Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to understand the mentality there, but that all makes perfect sense. I think you can do it.
Yeah, and if I don't, it's not that serious.
Yeah. No, exactly. So I saw Chloe joined the call as well. What's up, Chloe? You mind introducing yourself?
Oh, hello. I'm sorry, I'm late. I meant to get on earlier, but I just got back home.
Totally fine.
Sorry, I just saw the cool description that you wrote up in Slack, and I figured I would hop in. It seemed pretty interesting.
Yeah, right on. That's Logan's going to be running that for us next week on the 24th. So mark your calendar. That was posting an advertisement ahead of time. This is a standard mastermind call. So we solve each other's problems. We help each other out the best we can. And we've got lots of veterans on the line in sales who are badass at various different aspects of sales. And this is just where we all get together every week and help newcomers solve problems.
All right, cool.
Right on.
What's
Glad to
going
have
on,
you
Chloe?
with
us. How are you, Kevin?
I'm
Been a
good.
long time. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has been. How is your apprenticeship going?
My apprenticeship actually was not what I was looking for. So I'm currently looking for a different apprenticeship. The office manager kind of thing was not what I was looking for. So actually, I'm currently looking for sales roles. So I hopped on. I heard you guys talking about sales. So I'm already interested.
Right on.
Awesome.
You're in the right place.
Fun.
So yeah, Kevin, what else?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm surprised how like not stressed I am. I think it was just because every day going into work, I was so like, this is awful. That like just being like, oh, was like such a relief that I didn't have to be in an environment that I didn't believe in anymore. Um, so yeah, kind of happy, honestly. And my roommate, he's on the job search too, so it's cool to have somebody with you doing it. Um, yeah, if anything, I'm excited for the future.
Hell yeah, dude. You're in a good spot. And if you have your roommate doing it too, then you guys can like hold each other accountable and all that fun stuff, or at least motivate each other. That's excellent. The world is your oyster as someone who's gone through, Praxis, and you've already got sales experience, and yeah, you'll be able to sell yourself to any hiring manager fairly easy. So yeah, I think you're again just in a good spot. There's a reason why your gut is totally like, yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. But yeah, it was kind of shocking when it first happened. Just like sat us all in a room. It was like, yeah, you five are gone. Sorry. So, but like that's also like a really great experience. I think I really just saw everything not to do if I ever want to, go the entrepreneurship route, start my own startup. Learned a lot of what not to do, which is a huge part of it.
So valuable.
I think there's a few people here that can speak to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'll similar to you, I don't like to throw former employers under the bus, but yeah, I learned a lot about what not to do, how to spot coups, all kinds of fun stuff at my last job. Sales is fascinating because you get exposed to so many different aspects of the business. Like I had instant access to engineering. Marketing was really dysfunctional and toxic at my company and did virtually nothing valuable. So we just didn't know what they did all day. So we chose not to interact with them until someone competent got hired on. And then all of our marketing questions would funnel through the one competent person. And so that was really toxic and weird, but also very fun. And we liked the one guy. Finance, I could literally just like look over to my left and be like, hey, Carrie, how does invoicing this customer work if I want it to be quarterly? So it's just like anyone in any department, if you're in sales, you just have unfettered access. At least from my experience. Has that been true for you guys?
Yeah, I was actually having this conversation yesterday with my boss in a conversation reflecting on the last year. And, we talked about how one of the cool things about sales is because like the fundamentals, you can really carry it over into any other department of a business because it in many ways is the center of the business. Without sales, the business does not exist. And so sales incorporates all of their parts and makes it, I guess, valuable.
Yeah, definitely. And you just have
also
to
the
know everything about each department because people are going to ask you questions like, what does this happen at your business? But yeah, I think tough part for me, like I couldn't relate to that because my sales role wasn't bringing in revenue to the company immediately. I was gaining, inventory for our website. So it didn't have that immediate impact on our own business. So that was also like a big like motivation blow, is like not knowing that this is going to bring in revenue right away, which I thought going in was going to be like kind of nice, like kind of like relieve some stress. But when you're putting like your all into it and like really trying your best, and then like it's not having that immediate impact, it sucks. Like it's terrible. So definitely learn that as well.
Yeah, you like walked out of a desert that was trying to be a farm, and now you're actually going to like learn what it's like to farm at a functional company that has a real product.
That's what I hope.
Yeah, from everything that you're saying, I like for sure. So, yeah, you're in a great spot, dude. Is there anything specifically that you want advice, perspective, or feedback on pertaining to either getting a new sales job or sales in general?
Yeah, so like when you're applying, I know people say look for hiring managers when you're sending pitches and stuff, but what roles am I looking for here? Like recruiter or like head of sales? Like what's the type of people you're looking for when you're trying to like send pitches and stuff like that?
Decision makers. So, generally speaking, that's going to be the person who is making the decision as to whether to hire you. If it's a small company, it's going to be the CEO. So, if you email a pitch to the CEO, he will see it if you follow up on the email, and he will be like, oh shit, this kid just randomly pitched me on working for me. That's really cool. And it will show him that you're a go-getter. Corey Purvis just used that approach and got through multiple rounds of interviews at this point based on using that approach. So that's one thing. If it's a larger company, it's going to be you can either pitch the decision maker on who is going to grant you the first interview, or pitch you the decision maker on who is going to hire you. And that's either going to be a sales team manager or someone like a director of revenue, VP of sales.
Yeah. So I was thinking already, but need a little confirmation.
Sure. Happy to help. Anything else, brother?
Nothing right now.
So, Chloe, you're in a pretty similar spot, right?
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts right now? Like, what kind of sales roles are you thinking of applying for?
I'm not even sure yet. It literally just happened last week. So for now, I was just going to go through module 5, probably quicker than a whole month because I don't really have that much time on my hands. But module 5 wasn't around when I went through the program. And just from looking at it a little bit, it seems like it's really helpful stuff. So after I go through that, I'm going to start doing pitches again. But I haven't really jumped that far into it yet.
Yeah, and none of us who are alums are familiar. What's module 5?
I don't really know either. I just started going through it. It seems like it's prep for placement generally, which we didn't really have when I went through it. Because I'm pretty sure after me and Kevin, like our whole group went through, or I guess transferred into placement, they like overhauled the whole system really. So now there's this extra module in there that you do before placement that prepares you for it instead of just jumping straight in.
Okay. So what do they actually teach you tangibly? Like interview skills, how to send pitches, stuff
Yeah,
like
things
that?
like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I went and looked over the deliverables for Module 5, and a lot of it is creating pitches for companies and mock interviews as well as just preparing for, placement in general.
Okay. Yeah, it's just completely radically different than anything I went through in Praxis like 3 years ago. So
I
that
mean,
sounds...
even
Go ahead.
for me, my sister went through it like 6 months after me. Then 6 months after I did, she started going through it all. And from the interview process all the way through the deliverables, completely different program. Like when it comes down to what like you actually delivered, obviously the message and like the overarching hierarchy was still the same, but like the actual day-to-day stuff completely different.
Yeah, I think Praxis is like constantly trying to change and update and improve. So I'm sure in 6 months it'll be totally different again.
I don't even remember what I did. I remember writing every day for a month. That was the only module that I remember.
Honestly, same. I remember, and this was impossible for more modern participants, but I didn't open up the portal after the 4th month.
I guess the whole point is like you just like continue the mindset after you're done. So I guess it doesn't really matter what you do during it. It's what you take away.
Totally. And to Jared's point, I forget where you posted this, man, but it's the network. That was the biggest takeaway.
Network is everything. Like, I just find this more and more as my career grows. Network is truly everything. Well, the fastest way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The path of least resistance.
Yeah, I mean, you literally got your job by networking, you know? Fucking insane to me. I have no idea how that would work.
The saying's been going around forever. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I told my little Praxis network in Chicago that I was looking for a job, and then Randall and Hill, I'm sure a lot of you know her. She's pretty great, knows a ton of people in Chicago, got me this meeting with the director of recruitment at Northwestern Mutual. It's not really something I'm looking for there, but she just knows tons of people in Chicago and is going to send like intros to Groupon, Yelp, Venmo, like a bunch of companies that she knows. So
you're in Chicago, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago.
Gotcha. I commute to Chicago. I'm in Northwest Indiana.
Nice.
I've heard bad things about Yelp from some of my coworkers, so I'd be hesitant there.
She actually said that. She was like, I haven't heard great things, but
yeah, a company you might want to check out. I actually know one of the financial people on that team. The Rewards Network is a good one.
Network?
Rewards Network. They're a restaurant marketing company, and they're doing a huge expansion of sales right now. So they've been hiring a ton of sales reps. So that might be one you decide to look into.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
No problem.
How long is that commute?
Ben?
I'm muted. I know I can find the button. It's about an hour in and then an hour and 20 home. I take the South Shore line out of Millennium.
Okay, it's not that bad. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
It's not too bad. There's closer ones. I live all the way out in Chesterton by Valparaiso. So I'm a ways out there.
So I have something for you guys. I just signed the contract today to start with Toggle on the 28th. And because I've been moving for the last several days, I have not formulated a list of questions to ask various departments. I have some notes from the call that we did last week that kind of touch on that. But yeah, I'm wondering like what kind of questions should I be asking? And the whole idea is like it's a remote team, so everyone's hard to access. I don't have a Slack channel or a Slack account created with them, so I can't just be asking people yet. But the CEO suggested to like make up for that, like, okay, why don't you come up with a list of questions that you have, and by the time that you start, we'll get these answers back to you. And my first thought is like, well, I should probably have some questions that are like, who do I go to for X, Y, and Z? Some other just like factual questions of like, who are our top customers? Who use the tool the most? Just like there's just like tons of different things I could ask, but I probably want to keep it concise, like absolutely no more than 10. But if you guys were going into a role for the first time, what would you think?
Could you provide an overview of the roadmap for your projected responsibilities? I guess in the first 6 months, what you'll be expected to do?
Me? Yeah. So in the first 6 months, I'll be expected to basically pick out a CRM software for the company to use, implement that, and probably end up hiring or working alongside a contractor in order to actually like do the operations piece of that because I can't do that. Hire 2 to 3 sales reps, build out their sales process. It's going to be it's probably going to be completely inbound to start because they have like 15,000 people signing up for the platform every single week. And then running sales, doing demos, follow-ups, etc., everything in a typical sales pipeline. So unlike a typical account executive role, the key differences are I'll be hiring people, and then once those people are hired, I'll be managing them as well. And I have to build out all of the sales processes from scratch.
Can you also give a brief overview of the questions we went over last week?
Yeah, I think I have those here.
I remember some of them, but I don't want to repeat myself too much to your annoyance.
I don't see them here. Let's just proceed. Oh wait, is this? Okay. I'll paste them in the chat. I guess ignore the first one because that doesn't make sense. What information do we currently gather about our prospects during the sign-up process? Yeah, this is all good stuff. I'll create a new page in Notion. Okay. I'm assuming everyone can like read that fine. It looks like everyone's on desktop. Okay. We collect their phone numbers, optional to try and call them. I'll just read them aloud for those who can't see. So what information do we currently gather about our prospects during the sign-up process? And that's going to be typically phone, email, name, title, company. But phone's probably they probably don't collect actually, so we might want to make it an optional field per the second question. Can we allow people to indicate that they do want to talk to sales? That is smart. How much flexibility can they give me to change the information we gather during the sign-up process? Yeah, I'd want to be working hand in hand with marketing to test different options. How can I best assess our customer data so I can use my skills to draw a pattern from our customer profiles? So a question that comes up is, how is our current customer data stored? And how do I access it? Another one is, what features does marketing need in our CRM? But I'm asking you guys, I don't want to like waste time. If there's no obvious questions that pop to mind, then like we don't have to use this call for it.
Have they given you a budget, or is that kind of depending on what the questions are? Is that like in the air right now?
Yeah, we didn't really discuss a budget, and there wasn't mentioning of a budget in the contract. So yeah. I'm assuming that because they asked me to make recommendations for software tools, that there is a budget, but I need to get clear on what that is. So.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good question, is what does the budget look like for tooling and sales expenses?
Yeah, that's huge.
Beyond what we talked about inside of the actual changing of the sign-up process, I can't think of anything else that we didn't talk about last week.
Yeah, something that pops up to me is like, how do I stay informed on the like the development roadmap? How do I keep up to date with what features are coming out?
How has this product been bought in the past? Has it been through just a website link that automatically gives them licenses or keys that they just purchase online? Like in
That's a great
marketplace
question.
format?
I
That's
think
something I was
that,
curious about because you said it's been around for 8 years and it's just had a marketing team. So that kind of blew my mind.
I know, what the fuck? It's really strange.
Because like maybe the strategy is for smaller customers to set up for yourself an easy way to get them licenses, depending on, I don't know too much about Toggle or, you know, how much the consumption is or how hard it is to consume. But if it's really easy to use and so many customers are already using it, it might make sense just to have, like, for smaller businesses, like, here are your options. And then outside of that, if you have an enterprise deal, bring it to Nick, like, depending on how much inbound you're really getting.
I think they already have those options on their website. I looked over it, and they have like several levels of the plan, and then an enterprise option.
the enterprise. So I think a partial answer to the question is they had a massive marketing team, and so they've gotten a shitload of individuals to sign up for the tool. But their actual business licenses is probably a small fraction of the overall pie of people who are paying for Toggle. So they're hiring me to try and build out the enterprise sales.
How do they upsell currently? Do you know how they upsell?
Frankly, I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that they tried repurposing a bunch of developers and marketing people into business development. And this was a test for a few months for them. And I think that their process to upsell was to just have someone who wasn't actually a sales professional just ask people if they wanted the bigger version of the product. Like,
so they didn't even have like an autoresponder series or anything like
I
that?
signed up for a free account and I did receive some autoresponder stuff, just like some automated emails. I received someone reaching out and asking if I wanted to set up a demo, if I wanted to see what the premium features were and stuff like that.
Do you still have them?
Yeah. You want to take a look at them?
Yeah, I mean, if they're like readily available.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Pretty easy. And none of this is like private, so
my initial guess is that their copy sucks, first of all.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is probably written by Estonians. Let's see. So I'm trying to go back to where I first saw.
Hello, upgrade you want to high.
Jesus.
Wait, please tell me that wasn't a quote.
Damn. European selling teams selling to America. They've tried it at Avi for a little bit. It was terrible.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Do you see the email?
Yes.
Okay. I think this is the first one I received. It's called "How Are Things Going with Toggle?"
When do you get this? Day 0, day 1, 7 days?
September 19th. Yeah, this is day 1.
Okay.
I'm the person at the other end of Toggle support, the one reading and replying to your messages when you get in touch with us. I'm here for you. For now, I want to check how's your experience so far. I have no idea.
Marie's not real, is she? She's a bot, 110%.
Yeah, I mean, if
you're
you're
a real person, but it's an automated response.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's automated, but so like in my company, we have a bot named Mackenzie, but she doesn't work at our company at all. Like there's no one there that's even not the slightest.
Programmed to look as approachable as possible.
Yeah, she's a blonde-haired white female that's pretty. That's it.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they just use someone who works at the company?
Doesn't get as many clicks or chats. Yeah. So first problem with
less issues with turnover, I guess. If someone decides to leave, they don't have to like change their autoresponder at all.
Yeah.
So Jared, I'm just curious, if you were breaking this down, what do you see?
I mean, whatever. I mean, I guess it gets the job done, but it's not really compelling. There's nothing separating it from any other company that's going to send an email like this, right? The first
I agree.
thing you do in autoresponders, when you have a company that is, you know, you're not alone. They're not like the first in the market, or they're definitely not the only in the market. There's
No.
plenty in the market. So they're not really separating themselves, and they're not helping themselves with that email. Like, whatever, it does the job fine and it elicits an action. But, you know, the first thing that I always say in an autoresponder series is, you know, start with your story. Like, start with your development story. Why do you exist?
Interesting. Yeah.
Because now it's about building that relationship with the person who's using your service. Because obviously they chose you over the competition for some reason. So now give a reason for them to get more into you, more, you know, involved in like this relationship aspect, I guess. You know, when you share stories, it's that bonding experience. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The A-list of all A-lister copywriters, Gary Bencivenga, always called it, I can't remember, but it's like basically always start with your why.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. If I come in on day one and criticize their copy, I probably won't get too far. So I think
I think
Just come in and say their copy sucks. Don't even criticize it. Just call it out.
I don't think that email is really designed to sell anything.
it's not, for sure.
So I fucking hate when people say, I wanted to let you know that this exists. Okay, cool. That doesn't do anything for me. Yeah. Let me know if there's anything I could do to that. Let me know if you're interested. No, like, well, it's so passive. I just don't think it's designed to sell, really. Sorry, Jared.
It's not designed to sell at all, but it's designed to get a response. Not a buying response, but a ask me a question response. Like, that's the ad, that's the CTA of that email, is do you have a question? But then they passively mention that something else exists, and that's fine. In my book, that's okay, because they're not trying to sell you right there. They're trying to get you into a buyer conversation.
Yeah, see, I think that there's probably lots of exceptions to this, but I think in principle, every marketing email should have one clear CTA, and that's it. I get annoyed when there's more than one. And that one had 3. It had, do you have any questions? By the way, this also exists, and click here to leave your information. If it's designed to get a response, I just want
good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's designed to get a response, I want like a 2-sentence email. Hey, this is Maria from Toggle, and I'm here. I'm thrilled to help answer any questions. I see you've been using it for just 24 hours. Does anything come to mind? Can I help? ? Just leave it at that. Just, you're done. Doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
I see now why they're bringing in an enterprise-focused salesperson now. They just don't really have experience in what interests those types of people.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming you're meant to just sell ELAs, basically, right? Like large, huge agreements.
Yeah.
Big
so
discounts.
they're, I think I'm supposed to get more logos like the ones on the front page of their website.
Ah.
Yeah. They want more Amazon, Googles, and GitHubs and Adobe and blah, blah, blah. And those are the only people that can buy 100, 500 licenses at a time. Smaller businesses can't. But in terms of like my strategy is like, I want to probably start approaching mid-market people first, because I don't want to burn social capital with, Citigroup by calling them being like, so how do you manage your time?
Yeah. If, it's a good thing I'm not in your position because I'm not nearly as qualified, but if I were, I would open up the have them set up the schedule demo link and then just run through a bunch of those for like the first 30 days or whatever. And so, you're really only going to get for the most part, mid-market stuff coming through to the scheduled demo links.
Yeah.
I would use those as ways to get experience, maybe sell like some decent sized deals, and then figure out what's what with the demos. Like I would just get as much practice demoing, because it seems like that's the area you've had the least experience with up front. And then once you can get that, it'll just become second nature to you, and then you'll be able to handle anything. The enterprise calls won't be really any different. They'll just be bigger.
Yeah.
If you
And I'm
don't
pretty
know
sure
the
I
answer,
did
it's
it.
not a big deal on the smaller calls.
Exactly. And I did a better job from a sales perspective than anyone who was doing the demos before. Like I didn't know a couple of questions that the customer had, but I showed basic understanding and competence in the tool. So if I just learn the product better, that'll go away. And then that's in everyone's best interest for me to be doing those demos. And you're right. I fucking need to be doing the demos like immediately. So I love that. That's hugely helpful.
I know it doesn't answer your initial question, but
No, it does. That's going into my list of questions. Cool.
Nick, save this. I'm putting this in.
Okay. Hey. That's helpfully specific. Let me see what this looks like. All right, it's a lengthy info guide with a cool video. Love it. Oh, it's like a full webinar. Nice.
Yeah, it's a live training. Copy Hackers is a good website for copywriting. They're more like brand direct response. Like they're a good mix of sort of like brand advertising and direct response, and less like what I do, but that's what you write for. You write for, a company that wants to be a big brand. So I would scour Copy Hackers.
Yeah, this is a fantastic resource. Thank you. Reading stuff like this, by the way, makes you way better at writing emails, which is insanely useful. So this, like, I've never studied copywriting specifically, but I've just seen little blips and blurbs. And for me, I feel like a few times I've read something, I can't remember exactly what they were, but a few times I've read something and I've been like, oh, that's a good principle. And I just kind of like tuck it away. And then over the course of my lifetime, I get 75 more email replies or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's super helpful. Thank you guys for your mental input. I sense that there's no more, so we'll totally move on. Does anyone else have any kind of question or like sales related challenge, anything popping up in their brains? How can we help you?
I mean, what do you guys think is like the most important thing I should be showcasing skill wise on the job hunt? Because that's something I'm going to be doing with most of my days.
Where do you think you're different than the average salesperson?
That's a really good question.
I think you should showcase your growth from 0 to 7 months.
Yeah, definitely. I guess just like writing like a big wrap up post in my experience would be a good start. But yeah, I don't know what sets me apart. I think I really fit into the kind of sales persona of just, caring about helping people, and, I don't know what makes me stand out as a salesperson. Never really asked myself that.
Your results in such a short time. That's what makes you stand out. And not, not specifically you, but anybody in a sales role. That's what you feature, right? And one problem that you may run into, and I don't know your personality, maybe you have no problem with it, but sometimes when you're trying to showcase what you've accomplished, you cut yourself short because you feel like you might be coming off braggadocious.
Right.
And you have to really consciously work past that, because it's not bragging if it's true, right? You have to have some self-awareness with the attitude of how you present yourself, but you can say the same thing. And as long as you say it in a tone of more like, look, I'm only telling you this because I want you to know that I'm hungry and I'm going to continue to improve and continue to get results. It's not like, hey, look how awesome I am. Fuck you if you don't hire me. So
right.
That's, you could say the exact same thing with two totally different intonations or two different ways of writing it. But yeah, that's what you need to showcase. That's what you need to start with first and foremost. Look what I've accomplished. Let me accomplish more for you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess if that's the question, my main thing to highlight would be 30 closes in a month, where the highest in the company was 35. Well, actually I had 33, but yeah, so I say that's like the biggest number I could throw out there. Yeah, definitely. I'm impressed with like how much I've learned in the past 6 months, especially learning how to ask questions and figure out how to change. Because when I go back to maybe I should like do comparisons of my sales copy when I first started to like the last few months, because that was like a drastic change. Like that email you pulled up, I'm like, wow, that was me 6 months ago. Pretty much, hi, this is Kevin. I'm a partnerships associate at Parachute, where that was the terrible way to start off. But yeah.
Yeah. One thing that has, and the reason I bring that up is because I do that all the time. Like, the reason that I have what I have is because I say the right things to the right people when I'm building my network. And part of that is showing results, showing what I've accomplished. And this is the other thing, you've only been doing this for 7 months. That's why you need to mention that. Like, you need to mention that you've only been doing this for 7 months and you've accomplished X, because people that hire people don't see it as like, oh, you've only been in sales for 7 months. They see it as, wow, holy shit, he's accomplished all of this in such a short time. I need to hire him so that I can be there for his next, huge phase of growth as time goes on.
Right.
Like, they don't see you as inexperienced because of a short time frame. They see you as hungry. So one thing that allows you to balance the bragginess, I guess, of like saying what you've achieved is coupling it with why and how you achieved it. Like, what led to that result. So for example, I talk about how I became the number 1, number 2 person in the car dealership whenever I got started selling cars within 2 months. And I don't just say that. I say, why that happened is because I, in the first day, I ended up realizing that I was sitting right behind the top seller in the dealership. And, he was the first guy to introduce himself to me. And all I did was listen to him. I listened to how he did it. I copied him and I tweaked it for my own personality. And what do you know? Within 2 months, I was, beating him or close to beating him every single month. So now I don't sound like I'm a bragging dick about it. Like, hey, look how awesome I am. I'm like, look what I've accomplished, and this is why. So
Right.
That's how you balance it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a freaking awesome way to reframe it. I love it. And for me, that exact kind of thing work super well. People are going to be really impressed with the fact that the number one result prior to you coming on was 33 and you closed 30 within, just a few months of having actually ramped up and like started producing anything whatsoever. Because 7 months is actually like 4 or 5 months. Those first couple months are really not doing much.
No.
So, I mean, it's really working even more in your favor. So I love just flipping it on your head. That's genius.
And then like also going into interviews, how do I don't want to convey too much. I don't want to talk badly about the company I was just with, but I do think it is kind of important to note that I wasn't like super happy there, but I also don't want to throw people under the bus. So how do you balance that as well?
You weren't unhappy with the company. It just wasn't a mutually win-win for you and the company. You found yourself unpassionate about what you were selling, and you want to move to a company that you can be passionate about. Now you're not painting the other company bad. You're just saying that it wasn't for you.
Yeah, definitely going to say you don't want to go on painting a bad light. I think what Jared said is spot on.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, you guys are just dropping straight truths.
Brilliant, dude.
That's great.
Yeah, man, you're gonna kill it. Now, excuse me, because I was kind of distracted during the first part of the call. Do you know like who you're trying to reach out to? Have you made a Dream 50 list or anything like that?
Right. So I had a call with Cameron today, and that's what I'm going to work on after this is getting like a spreadsheet of 15 companies I want to apply to, get that to him, and then he's going to help me kind of expand on that list and what he can see from that list to hit up his network. That was just like a couple hours ago, though, so I haven't gotten a chance.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, like I said, that's why I'm glad I've left, because it was hard to be working there and be on the job search, because I'm still trying to hold on. I was still trying to hold on to, being committed to the company and getting that full-time job offer. But yeah, that's why I'm glad I can just focus on this now and do these things and build out that list. But yeah, what I was saying is I'm probably going to go for a role. I think I could leverage my experience to do that. Like I was a closer at my company. But like an SDR BDR role, I'm totally happy with as well.
Yeah, cut out for a sec. Going for AE roles as your chief goal, though.
Yeah, chief goal. Chief goal.
Chief goal.
Cool, man. Well, definitely keep us updated with how the hunt's going and what sort of companies you're looking for.
Yeah. So I don't really know like what industries or what type of companies exactly, but just as the more interviews I can go on, the more people I can talk to, the better I'm going to be able to figure that out, because it's really more about the team and the product you're selling. Especially, I think it's really, for me, it's more about the team next. What do they care about? What are their values? That's really what I'm looking for. Because there's so many companies out there now, and it really just matters about the people that are selling the product around you.
Do you think you're mostly motivated by being a team player, or are you motivated by something else primarily?
I think after this experience, I'm mostly just motivated about finding a company that gives a shit about their customers. Like, okay. I know that's like a low bar. I feel like it should be a low bar at least. Maybe I'm wrong, but
so are you pushed into sales because of the thought of helping people?
I mean, that is one of the main factors, but I am driven by money. Mm-hmm. I would say. So I have that as well, and I do like working in teams, which I didn't really have that before. It was just myself, and I really think sales is competitive, and if you have people around you that are working and have that drive. That's a motivator as well, which I didn't have. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say a team that's motivated to help their customers, because that's what's going to motivate me most. People around me who are competitive, people who care about helping their customers, because that means I'll be able to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do think at the end of the day, that's my main concern, is I want to know that if I'm selling something, that it's going to make people's lives better, easier, faster, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that is the main reason.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to your question earlier. I think that's one of the things you can use to moving forward in interviews to separate yourself from other people, is talk about what motivates you. A lot of times I found salespeople are afraid to say that they're motivated by money, but if I'm running an organization, that's going to be one of the things that stands out to me. So I'd point that out in any interview you have, and then say, and I like the competition too. The competition and my motivation to make a lot of money is what's going to bring value. But that, for me, when I ask myself what motivates me, a lot of times, like, I find I feel like I have something to prove. It might not be the most healthy thing, but that's what motivates me. And that's why, like, if someone were to ask me, like, what can you bring to the table of this company? I'd say, well, I have a chip on my shoulder and I'm going to prove that I can do it. That's what I can bring to this company. So then just think a little bit more about what motivates you. And then that can really distinguish yourself from others. But those are good answers, like being a team player, helping people, and competition, and also making money. Those are all things that I think interviewers want to hear.
Definitely. Even now that you bring up the chip on your shoulder, that's been my only motivation the past 7 months. And as it worked, but that was kind of eating away. I mean, I think that's great as one thing, but there needs to be other factors involved, for me at least. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Thanks, dude.
Yeah. And just know that the chip on your shoulder thing, internally, that might be like shitty to struggle with, but you can always reframe it into something that makes a future employer go, oh, I've never heard anyone say that honestly. I love that. I also have that chip on my shoulder. I remember what that's like. Then you have them like connecting with you on an empathetic level, which I think is psychologically very useful.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I love that. That's all.
I was going to say, on a separate note, that is something I kind of went through with my interview. I started my account executive role at 18 and 18 and 1 month old. So I was fresh, I was green, and I had a chip on my shoulder. And I talked about that in my interview. I was like, I'm young, I'm hungry, and I have something to prove, and that's going to like make me work harder than anyone else you have on that sales floor. And I went out into the training program they had, and I worked harder than every other rep that was on the sales floor. And it kind of shows, because I think the idea behind it, and they've talked about it, now after the fact, that was something that kind of swayed the decision, was the fact that they knew I felt like I had to prove I had a reason to be there. I mean, on paper, I had no college degree, no formal sales experience. All I had was drive and obviously Praxis. Like, I had a lot of skills I could leverage into it and prove I could do it. But like, having that like drive to do it definitely will set yourself apart.
Yeah, definitely.
Sweet. I feel like that's a beautiful note to end on. It's been like exactly an hour. We always keep these calls rolling until 9:30, and we are officially entering the after party.